privilege to have with us the extraordinary Sunitha Krishnan, a fairy activist and author who has dedicated her life to combating sex trafficking and sex crimes. She is the founder of Prajwala, Asia's largest institution addressing these issues, as a recipient of the Padma Shri, India's fourth highest civilian honor, recognized by Newsweek as one of the 150 fearless women in the world. Sunitha has played a pivotal role in drafting India's first anti-trafficking policy and spearheaded Swaraksha, the first survival-led campaign which reached over 1 million people. Joining her in her conversation is Satish Padmanabhan, a seasoned journalist with over 30 years of experience in print, digital media, and television. Having worked with esteemed organizations such as Business World, The Economic Times, BBC, CNBC, and NTTV, he is now the managing editor at Outlook, bringing a wealth of experience and perspective to this discussion. Please join me in welcoming Sunitha Krishnan and Satish Padmanabhan.
Hello, yeah. Am I audible? Yeah. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It's a privilege and an honor to meet you, Sunitha ji. So I want to start from a scene from the book. There is this young woman of about 24, 25 in a burqa, in an auto rickshaw, in a speeding auto rickshaw. The auto rickshaw comes, it's speeding through the alleys of old city in Hyderabad, stops in front of a brothel. This young lady in the burqa jumps out of the auto, walks across to the brothel, rescues a child from there, drags the child into the auto, and the auto is speeding. Even as the pimps and the sex traffickers there at the brothel are figuring out what has happened, the child is already in the auto, and it's again speeding through these alleys of Hyderabad, and the modus operandi is such that she's already kept 2 more autos to befuddle the goons, and the child is rescued and brought to a home. Sunitha Krishnan has rescued 28,900 children and women from the clutches of sex traffickers. Of course, not all in auto rickshaws like this, because this is our initial sort of life. But before we come to that, I want to say a few words about the book itself. It's the book, of course, is called I Am What I Am. It's a difficult read. It's not easy to go through the book. It's very disturbing. It troubles you. It sort of lets the reader ask so many questions of himself or herself. But at the end, Sunitha, I think we really, at least for me, you come across but when you read it's so rewarding towards the end, and you feel that there is so much that as a reader one can still do, given all the adversaries that one faces in life. And it's so inspiring and truly awe-inspiring, and that's all I can say about the book. So it's many people have thought that it's a difficult book, it's a difficult read. Actually, it is quite a page turner. Her life has been so action-packed. Every page there is some event, some action, and some. It's a very fast-paced book actually. So Sunitha, thank you very much for being here. And I really went through the book in quick time, and it was a great read for me. And it shows the life that you have led. It's what a lesson it can be for so many youngsters, so many adults in India.
Thank you, Satish. It's such an honor to speak to you. May I just place on record to the organizers that the chair given is very height, not friendly. I'm hanging in the air, so you might get answers from a Trishanku point of view, neither here nor there.
But Sunitha ji, in your attire, you're already looking like you're Trishanku.
Satish, this is my spiritual reflection period. Every year for 1 month, I reflect on what I do, how I do, the mission that I took up 37 years back, after surviving a gang rape, is it in the right direction? And the reasons why I started, am I still true to the reasons that I started? And am I doing justice to each one of the person that I have removed from the space of slavery and exploitation? So this is a month where I reflect on that. So it's only a 1 month costume. After 31st, you will see me back in my original glamorous look. But this is just a temporary time for reflection and evaluation.
That's great.
Yes, yeah.
That's great. Like I was saying, as opposed to say other social sector work, in say health or education or environment, etc. It's there is something that you have to do. Of course, it's a great thing to do. But what you do here, you're facing opposition not only from the perpetrators, from the traffickers, but also from the community that you're trying to help, right? I mean, to be accepted, to gain their confidence, and to be, at least seen as somebody, from their milieu, and you want to help. So, in the book, that comes across as also as big a challenge as it is, to educate and to, enlighten others.
Satish, I think for that you need to understand the context of what I'm doing. I'm fighting an organized crime, number one. It's the fastest growing criminal enterprise. It's $1 billion industry next to drugs and arms across the world. It is not exception to India. There are 180 countries who have the problem. So what is the problem? I'm dealing with a whole world of mafia whose business fundamentally depends on selling sexual services of human beings. Now, who are the human beings who are sold? The youngest child that I have rescued is 3 years old. A 3-year-old is solicited for her sexual services. People are willing to pay to have sex with a 3-year-old child. Now, this is a world that depends on these human beings to provide their body. And therefore, they have their own method of doing it. One of the first method they use is to destroy the will and the confidence, the sense of dignity of that person. They bank upon all our stereotypes. For example, one of the stereotypes all of us have is the honor of a woman is located in her vagina.
Yeah.
So, day one, if she's raped, your honor is gone, you're worthless. On the same day, not one person, you have to sleep with 15 people. So, which means 15 times your honor is gone. 3 days down the line, it is 45 men. 1 week down the line, it's coming to hundreds and weeks. So, progressively, this person's will to live, to survive, understanding that I am a being goes off. Now, this is taken advantage of because that is what suits the mafia.
Right.
And then they also then fear, suppose something is left out in this person to survive. So then they indoctrinate her again and again, again and again. Listen, you are not going to be accepted by the society. Your family doesn't want you back. And if you go to an NGO, somebody rescues you and run away from there. How do they manage that? Day one, they rape you, video, photograph, everything is taken. Now that becomes your lifetime of card that you can play to extort this person. That apart, here is a person in the space of being demolished. Her body, mind and soul is demolished every day. She is also trying to survive that demolition.
Yes.
And how does she survive? She takes alcohol, she starts taking drugs. Meaning, how do you allow 15 different characters coming and invading your body, yaar. Somebody wants to put cigarette on your body. Somebody wants to take a blade and blade you. Somebody wants to take a whip and whip you. This is what the kind of sexual services people want to buy. Meaning what they can't get with their normal spouses or partners, or what they imagine their fetish and fantasies of. So this is the sum total of the person that I'm dealing with, who is indoctrinated to believe
Yes.
that nobody can help you. So when she comes to me, whether as a 3-year-old, whether as a 15-year-old, or as a 40-year-old, she believes that she has to resist me.
Yeah.
So I'm dealing not only with an outside mafia
Yeah.
who wants her back at any cost. Now, how did you take? I am also dealing with characters outside who believe that I'm doing some kind of human rights violation.
Yeah.
And then you're also dealing with the person you think that you're so-called saved is also saying, I don't want to be saved. Thank you so much. Get away from me. I don't want your help. So it's a struggle from all ends. And it's an ongoing struggle from then to now.
Now. And if you would like to talk a little bit about how you sort of came, to come around this. Like for instance, you used to hang around at Majestic in Bangalore, to make eye contact with the sex worker, to make them feel that you're not aggressive and you're actually there to help. And those passages are so well written in the book. If you would like to maybe narrate one or two, if the real experience as to how it actually happened, to get into the red light areas. And be accepted.
Yeah. So, Satish, I'll take half a step back. When I was gang raped at the age of 15, and I chose that I'm going to dedicate every breath of my life to fight sex crime and sex trafficking. It was a nice, fantastic idea. A great, decision to make. Now, clueless. How am I supposed to go about it? As a 15-year-old, I had no clue. When I'm thinking this is what I have to do, but what am I supposed to do? And I guess all of us go through that. We want to do something big. We want to change, but we don't know where to start, how to start. So one of the first decisions I took is let me observe, let me see. So I was like this greenhorn going to this red light space to understand, and I have all the right intention, I want to help. But I'm clueless what I want to help,
And this
how
is
I
when
want to help.
With yourself in your teens. I mean, you're
I'm
like
just about 16, 17.
Mm.
And so I started frequenting this place, which is the hub of Bangalore. It's a bus station, and nearby that, a lot of prostitution used to happen. So I would go there every day. And then I very naively tell these women, I want to help you. Actually, no idea if they say, yes, we need your help. Tell, what will you do? I would have been blank. I had all kinds of hilarious exercises where somebody practically spit it on my face. Actually, she didn't mean to spit. She was having all this pan in her mouth. And so when she kind of shouted at me and all of that beetle pan came on my face. So the first few days and months was just seeing, understanding. And I must say it was one of my greatest lessons. In fact, what I observed at that time, today as a 52-year-old, I'm not able to observe. I could understand the pattern. Who is controlling the space? Who is the head here? Who are the people reporting to this head here? What is the profile of the buyer? Who's coming to buy? What is the way they do it? And all of that. At the age of 17, I did my first rescue. And my first rescue comes from a space of not knowing how to do a rescue.
Yeah.
But, God has been very kind to me, Satish. God has given me one of the most, the greatest gift a human being can get, a sharp intuition. So I followed my intuition and I did exactly, and luckily for me, God forbid if it had failed, I don't know what I would have faced. But it went right. I was able to not only rescue the child, but she was a 12-year-old girl who was mentally retarded, and you must read the book to know more about that story. And then actually succeeded in restoring her to her family. But that were my first lessons on social transformation, to study. Don't jump into something without doing your study, number one. Gaining those skills. Meaning sometimes everything is very nice in your fantasy, you want to do that, you want to do this. If you don't have the right skills, you can't do it.
In fact, I'll come to that part a little later. But before that, I want to say how you were saying that even today, after 30 years of this fantastic work that you've been doing, you're recognized now, you're like internationally known, and yet even now this opposition that you face is is as difficult and as tough as it was when you were a 15-year-old. Only thing, the stakes have now gone up.
Absolutely, because I'm destroying somebody's business.
Yeah.
I'm so destroying somebody's livelihood. I am making them penniless at several levels. Today more than ever. Today I don't stop at rescue. I'll make sure that my children, my girls testify in the court.
Yeah.
I make sure that these guys get life imprisonment and they are punished for their deeds. I make sure that brothels are sealed, never to open. So the stakes are very high. Long time back, 35 years back, 32, 33 years back, I would be physically beaten up. There have been 17 attacks on my life.
Yeah.
Thanks to them, I have several gifts that they have given me without even asking. My eardrum is broken, my back is broken, my leg is broken, and all kinds of fantastic gifts that I carry.
Yeah.
But today they don't hit me like that. Today they try to wipe me out as an organization.
Yeah.
Today they will perhaps make a paid article and write horrible things about me. This celebrity activist who's a human rights violator and all the rest of it. Today they will constantly file cases. Like right now I'm going through a case of kidnap against me in the High Court. So today the stakes are high, so is the attack.
Yeah.
Today they know that wiping out Sunitha Krishnan will not do.
Yeah.
Meaning wiping out the entire thought process through the organization is perhaps what they should try. So that is what they're trying.
So attack that then. I mean, it's, stop and block you there.
Yeah. But I'm extremely grateful to them, If not for them, I wouldn't be here. Thanks to them, they have allowed me to grow, evolve, tone up my skills. Because every time, at one point, Satish, every time I would get beaten up, I would be so thrilled. I can't even tell you. I describe that in my book because, all of us as professionals, you as a journalist, I'm sure all of you all must be keeping some kind of indicators in your life to show that you're professionally doing well. See, if your article or whatever it is read by 100 people, then you know that, you're doing well. So that was one of the earliest performance indicator I made for myself, that if I'm doing it right, they will hit me. So every time I got hit, I was like, wow, now I'm doing it right. I'm hitting my target. That's bullseye. So much so that it was it's so foolish, I think. When I look back now, I feel like a joker. I think my nose bleeding, my ear bleeding and all is like one big Bharat Ratna award. I will actually not go to the hospital, even maybe leave a little traces of it so that I am, feeling like a hero and all the rest of it. Now I don't get all that fun.
And when you read the book, you'll know why I said it's a page turner, and it's really like a thriller in that sense, because acid has been thrown at her, blade attacks have happened, attempted poisoning has happened, as she said.
And I'm still here.
From as we were just discussing, from both sides, from the people you want to help, as well as these attacks have happened from
and the ideological group also now joins the gang.
Yes, that's the other one.
So you have the mafia here, you have the victims there, and then you have the so-called progressive right-based groups who says she is moralistic, she's a human rights violator. So luckily they don't say, meaning even that they have tried. One gentleman from the so-called liberal group came and said, Dr. Krishnan, what do you think about child-sized condoms?
Gosh.
So I said, what? He says, no, you can't. It is a sad reality. 45% of those who are sex trafficked are children. And so that is going to be an inevitable reality. So we need to do something for harm reduction.
How do you even react
so,
to...
So I know everything can happen here. But there are people that way also, but it is my work with the adult woman which has been under attack, and I write about it extensively.
Because I guess that's what the main business is. That
absolutely,
it's the most Sunitha, the recurring theme in the book is also what you just said a minute ago, as to how, every experience teaches you something. I mean, the recurring theme is how many times you've said that I was wrong here, and I know I learned from this and I moved on, and, how that helped. Like, for instance, initially, of course, like I said, she would go in these auto rickshaws and, rescuing people. But then she realized that without the help of the police, the judiciary and the administration, the numbers are not going to, I mean, this is going to remain a small, a kind of an NGO where only one person is doing, this kind of an activity, where she realized that her being, she used to be hot-headed, and she still is. Won't listen to anybody and do what I'm thinking is right, etc. But that then mellowed, and then how that has matured into a very organized, structured, a sort of attempt towards this goal, right?
Satish, there are two things. One is I had no precedence in my life. Nobody before me had tried out what I was trying.
Correct. Yeah.
So I had no lessons to learn from, and I hope none of y'all reinvent the wheel. This book is not to reinvent the wheel. Learn from my mistakes. Learn from all my failures.
Yeah.
So I also came from a different background. Having been a survivor myself, I got into understanding the work. I got into, going in and into the work. And then I got arrested. And I went to the jail. That was an experience of multiple layers, which I write extensively in the book.
Yes.
But one of the biggest, output of that journey was I developed very strong aversion towards the police. And I felt that they are part of the crime. How can this crime happen if the police are not part of the system?
Vigilant.
So when I started actually my organization and things like that, I kind of felt that if these people are part of the crime, I cannot work with them. So I kind of did everything on my own, and you have that hero syndrome on your head. And once you succeed in the beginning, then the halo becomes bigger and bigger, and you think, wow, I'm the superwoman and I'm the demigod who can do everything. And I think that went into my head in a big way. And I really thought I could do it on my own. Till one day, one of my staff was murdered right in front of me. And some of the mistakes I feel, has been some very costly mistakes.
Yeah.
Costly mistakes of taking a life itself.
Yeah.
He was stabbed to death.
This is a very close associate of hers who has helped her in many rescues. And, in the book, I don't want to reveal too much, but, the attack happens and he's stabbed, right? He's
stabbed right in front of us.
Akbar.
Yeah, Akbar got stabbed and killed. And the first thought, and I feel I cringe today, even to say this in public space. But my first thought was, if this continues, not a single one will join Prajwala.
Correct.
And, a few minutes later, I was cringing. Meaning, as a human being, I'm seeing another human being dead. And all that I'm thinking is, my organization will not survive if that is how self-centered and driven and consumed that I was. And I still am. But, perhaps as a better human being, I think once upon a time, I was not a good human being. But that particular incident was a reality check. It's a awakening call where I had to, it's a real wake-up call. And I had to say that I cannot do it alone. I have to work with people. I have to work with the stakeholders who are trained to do a rescue work.
Right.
And that's how I started working with the police. And to my utter surprise, I realized that, yes, there are bad people, no doubt about it, who are living on the earnings, they sustain the crime, they support the crime. That's a small percentage.
Yes.
There's a huge percentage,
Yeah.
neither here nor there, fence sitters.
Yeah.
They don't want to be bad, they don't want to be good. And then there is another group which is really good. So then I started strategically maneuvering my way, go through the good, target the fence sitters.
Yeah.
Today, I have been instrumental personally, individually, to sensitize and train more than 300,000 policemen. And today they are our partners. They are the ones who are
That's-
making the difference on the
That's
thing.
amazing.
As of last night, we have rescued 30,100 girls.
Yeah.
And that is not Sunitha Krishnan's credit.
Yeah.
It is the credit of Telangana police,
Yeah.
Andhra police, Kerala police, and the police, Indian police. You know,
Yeah.
so I started, you know,
Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah.
I have a role
And-
to play.
and-
Others also have a role to
And
play.
you know, Sunitha, in the book it comes that it's incredible that once people know that this is the kind of work you're doing, you know, how so many characters, you know, just materialize from nowhere, and an IAS officer here, a judge there, you know, a
a
lawyer
rickshaw
here.
puller there.
Yeah, yeah.
Meaning,
You know-
I've had my biggest donor, my billionaire donor, is a cycle rickshaw puller
Yeah.
who gives me 11 rupees every day for the last 20 days, 20 years. So
Yeah.
how
Ma-
blessed I am.
Much more than John Grisham,
Absolutely.
who's also a donor, by the way. And you know, Sunitha, the other thing that comes in the book is, you know, this some kind of. I mean, I'm not that much into religion and you know, gods, but you know, there seems to be some kind of a force that whenever you've been in trouble, you know, whenever you know, there have been problems upon opening a home, setting up buying a plot of land, or anything that you've been really, you know, passing through a difficult, tough time, you know, some kind of intervention has happened. You know, at one time it's an unknown gentleman who meets her, and you know, there's a check for, I think, 40 lakhs.
40 lakhs.
You know, she doesn't even know who it is, and this is when, you know, they're really negotiating. They're being pushed out of one place and they're looking for another, and when the time comes to set up a proper home, they don't know how to you know, get the funds. Suddenly this TED Talk invitation comes, and you know, she's internationally known now, and with donors pouring into something like 9 crores
Yes.
in 1 week or something like that. And you know, this is an unusual TED Talk where, you know, in a TED Talk you have these strict rules, right? You're not supposed to pitch what you're talking about, however good your work might be. So this is one instance. You must all please see the TED Talk. It's there. This is one
And
instance.
I raised in 11 minutes.
In-
I raised
you know,
$100,000.
there are people from the audiences, you know, they are saying $10,000 from me. Somebody is trying to better that in a TED Talk, you know, moved by her speech. So, and this is when they are trying to really struggling to set up their own home. And in next week, there is 9 crore in their account. And of course, I mean, which is also not enough at that time to pass through, but still, I mean, so this is an amazing thing that at every critical point, there has been some, you know, well, should I say divine intervention?
I think so, Satish. I think very early in my life, I recognized that my life itself is a providence. And perhaps I'm the chosen one. I realized I didn't recognize it in the beginning, but as I started moving into the journey of understanding the problem, meeting other victims and other survivors, I started recognizing that I think differently. So when I was gang raped, of course I had the pain and the shame and the guilt and all that went into that. But all that made me think very differently. I was filled with rage, and that rage converted into a very positive, constructive energy where I said, I want to dedicate my life to change this. I have met thousands of victims, and I've seen when an incident happens to them, this is not the first thought that they have. And that is when I started realizing that I am kind of different. And maybe this incident that happened in my life is a transformative experience. So I started recognizing the lived experience as a transformative turning in my life. Similarly, my stay in the jail, which transformed not only me, but everything I do today. You know, whether there's a therapeutic community that I've set up, which can take care of nearly 1,100 victims at any given point of time, the way I run it. So it is kind of an early understanding that I'm just an instrument. I am not the person doing it. Somebody is guiding me. I am just an instrument. I'm a carrier of it. Thanks to that, there has been also, as I spoke to you about, my sharpened intuition. very clear message in my mind that so long as I have a truth in my conviction and I have my integrity and purity in what I'm doing, the universe will conspire to make it happen.
Fantastic.
And that is what is happening. That is my journey about,
Fantastic.
So people are constantly wondering, oh my God, where is she getting her money from? Especially because today we have big 12 acres of land as our community and all. Is she connected to Dawood Ibrahim? And so where is the black money coming? So you can't imagine the number of RTI applications trying to find out what is the source of my account. 98% of my funding is digitized. I don't even take cash donations, including that 11 rupees which comes to me by Airtel money transfer and not as cash donation. So, I think so long as you do things with pure conviction, the universe will find a way to support you.
That's a great lesson for all of us here. And Sunitha, but of course, you're saying it now it's in a lighter vein, but when it all must have been happening, your family, when you're growing up, that she was always labeled as this troublemaker. Her parents would always be worried, what is she going to do next? Land up in jail one day, be arrested another day, be spoken poorly by the neighbors, and what is the daughter doing? So your relationship with your family, one can imagine, is so fraught. It's been, and yet, they stood by you in some ways. They let you do what you wanted to do for a long time. Maybe, there were long periods where they were not even aware of what you were really up to. But then, of course, once they came to know the kind of enormity of the work that you're doing, then they came. But it must have been very difficult, isn't it, as a teenager, as a youngster, to go so completely against a middle class, regular family.
So, Satish, you called me, you used a term in the beginning of the conversation, hot-headed. I kind of will reword it, arrogance. I think my arrogance was my greatest strength. I cared a damn about what people thought about me. I cared a damn about what the society thought, family thought. And one of the fundamental principles of my life from then to now is that I am the only certifying authority of my character. Nobody else. You may call me anything, that is your problem, not my problem. My problem is what I think about myself. So that is something that insulated me. But when I started writing the book, and Satish, I wrote this book, I Am What I Am, in 13 days' time.
Yeah, just you
This
just
is 13
saying
days of one shot,
But
every day 14 hours of writing.
And it really shows in the book. It's such a, like I said in the beginning, it's a very frenetic book, I mean, it's a very busy book where things are happening all the time, and you really want to keep turning the pages and want to know what happens next. So it's really a John Grisham in some ways.
So when I was writing it, and now when I look back at my life, I think as a part of the providence and as a part of the higher powers who are taking care of me, I think I got the best family universe could give me. Because they are first generation learners. The only aspiration my father and mother had was study and get a government job. Most of my cousins on my father's side are drivers and cleaners even today. So they didn't have struggle, getting a job is good enough. In spite of that, and not in my 10 generations above me, there has been a social worker in my family. And not in another 10 generations after me, there'll be a social worker in my family. They can't even understand. And I'm a full-time volunteer. It's not just I'm a social worker. I don't even earn from this work. So it's kind of unheard of, how is she surviving kind of thing. But when I look back, I think they didn't have big words to tell me that either they are horrified by what I'm doing, or they don't approve of my doing, or their support. They didn't have this way or that way any sentence to make. Silence. While my younger sister, my elder sister, my younger brother were questioned what they were doing, I was never questioned. I was never questioned why am I coming back at 1 o'clock in the night. I was never questioned that I was staying alone in a slum in Hyderabad. I lived for nearly 10 years in a slum. I made a choice that I wanted to experience hardcore poverty and live in that situation. So I was never questioned. So at one point of time, I mistook it.
It's a great thing to do, though.
Yeah, but
It's-
one point of time, I
Yeah.
mistook that way that my family behaved as rejection
That they've abandoned
and
you.
desertion and abandonment.
mm.
Today, I think that was the biggest support I got.
Really, I mean, to let the person go is I think one
yeah,
of the
and it's like you let go. It's like when you love a person, you let go. If it comes back to you, it is yours.
Yes.
If it just doesn't come, it's never meant to yours. I think my parents realized very early that I'm not meant to be a daughter only for them. I am a daughter for the world. But I must say, my father, till he died, I think had this, perennial and persistent fear about how am I surviving?
Yeah.
How am I feeling? So I
Yeah.
had to take that double, effort to make sure that he thinks that I'm well taken care of, got a lot of money, and it's not very easy to fool a simple person
No.
like my father. You give 10 gifts. I would go to a foreign country, I'll get per diem. You save $10, $1 shop is there. You buy 10 gifts from $1, $10,
Yeah.
give it to your father. You have spent only $10. But he thinks, oh my God, so much of gift she has
Yeah.
bought means she's doing well.
Doing well.
So I did that for my entire life, made my family,
You know-
everybody think that I'm financially well placed.
We have a little bit more time. Apart from the family, the other thing, the book throws up are the wonderful people who have come into your life, especially, Brother Joe's. So this is, would you like to talk a little bit about, this is a person in New Boys Town in Hyderabad. Would you like to tell a little bit about Brother Joe's to the audience, because he's such a important character in our life and in the book. They fight like cats and dogs. They hate each other at times. They have almost come physical when it comes to disagreements. And yet he stood by her. She stood by him. And he's also co-founder of Prajwala in some ways.
Yeah.
And would you like to tell the audience a little bit about him? But he's the most interesting character.
I think Brother Joe was the first human being, first man who believed in me, believed in my faith, in my mission, and unconditionally said that I'm with you. I'm with you at this, in whatever you do. Not that he agreed in the way I did things. Not that he agreed in the methodologies I adopted. Not that he agreed in the hero syndrome that I carried for many years. He, I think, would be very proud of me today. But at that time, I don't think he was very proud. So much so that there were so many things I did on the sly. Like I would actually go for a rescue and never tell him. And 4 days later, when I'm admitted in the hospital, that is when he knows that I've gone into some heroic stuff of mine and things like that. But Joe personifies my faith in humanity. Joe also personifies my faith in men as a race. If I am not bitter today about men, after surviving a gang rape, I never, developed any aversion towards a man or to the men as a whole, because there were 8 men who defiled me. It's
Yeah.
because of people like Joe's.
That's
And luckily also my father, luckily also Rajesh
now
Touch
your
River,
husband. Yeah.
my husband. So I think the powers above were very kind to me. They gave me the best of men who stood by me, and that is why my book, I Am What I Am, is dedicated to the men in my life, to say that, yes, men, there are real men and there are real compassionate men. And I'm sure most of the men sitting here in this audience come in that wonderful group of humanity who have the, generosity of the spirit to support another human being with the right cause.
I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of questions to ask. We just have one last question. Not a question, a remark really. So, Sunitha's guilty pleasure is Mills and Boons and rom-coms, and she and like all of us ordinary mortals, they also have fight for the TV remote at home. I'm sure you must be winning those fights.
And the Uppumanga here. Meaning,
We
I
just
came
went
to
out.
Kozhikode only to eat the Uppumanga, not for the Lit Fest.
No, so are these the Mills and Boons and what was it, Maine Pyar Kiya or
Maine Pyar Kiya and every
No, I think-
rom-com. In
is there-
fact, everyday fight with Raj is on these topics because he thinks I am below average. In fact, bordering, some kind of imbecile behavior when I read my Mills and Bones because, for a Padma Shri awardee, he's mortified. How can you sit in an airport holding a Mills and Boone and reading it? At least cover it, So he takes great pains to take newspaper and cover it and all and give it to me. So that, because when I go into my Mills and Boons, I'm devoted. Like I'm reading Bhagavad Gita or doing my, PhD thesis. I'm like fully engrossed and people might mistake me. My God, what a great literary lady. She's reading her books. She's a well-read woman. I am not a well-read person. I am just a hardcore romantic.
It would be a great Insta photo, to see in some airport, Sunitha Krishnan
No,
reading Mills.
Nowadays, because I'm in this robe and all, I'm carrying some
Heavy,
really
serious
high
books.
fundu
Okay.
stuff. Not that I'm reading it, I'm just looking at it. The font size is good. My font size is not so good in my book. The cover is good. Mine is not good. I'm making those comparison. But what I love the most, first day, first show in movies. I watch all movies. And I'm not watching those great movies that others watch. I'm watching that third-rate rom-com and things like that. I read Mills and Boons. I chat on the road. I have to be concerned a little bit about my security, but I am one bindas character.
With that, I think we'll leave the, we'll take some questions now. If you could please pass the mic around. Thank you very much, Sunitha. That was a fantastic, wonderful conversation.
to
I hope the
Satish.
audience also liked it as much as I did. It was really wonderful. I mean, it's really most invigorating and exhilarating conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I hope people buy the book.
Nobody should go without getting a book and signed by you here. Because it's, really, I don't know why it's got this thing that it's a very serious, kind of an academic kind of book. It's not at all. It's an action-packed thriller. Please buy it.
Sunitha,
We're doing some full-scale marketing now.
No, I really seriously want as many people, youngsters particularly, to go through, the book and, sort of experience what a differently lived life can do.
And also, I think, what I want to say through my book is there's nothing called as an inevitable reality. Nobody can call any problem in the society as a necessary evil. Like people say prostitution is a necessary evil.
Yeah.
It should be there. It need not be there. My book is about possibilities. My book is about
Absolutely.
hope. And my book is about alternatives. And my book is about if one small 4 feet 6 inches character can do all this, so can all of you all who are 5 feet and more can do 100 things more.
Each one of us, yeah.
സുനിത കൃഷ്ണ മലയാളത്തിൽ ചോദിക്കാമോ?
ചോദിച്ചോളൂ.
മലയാളം എന്നറിയാം, പാലക്കാട് തനിച്ച്. കേരളം പ്രോഗ്രസീവ് ആണെന്നാണ് പറയപ്പെടുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ നമുക്കറിയാം മറുവശത്ത് പോക്സോ കേസുകൾ, ലിക്കറിന്റെ ഉപയോഗം, കൺസ്യൂമറിസം,
ആരാ പറഞ്ഞ് കേരളം ആണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ്?
അന്നാ വേണ്ട, ഇവര് സമ്മതിക്കുന്നു തോന്നണില്ല. ഓക്കെ, പോട്ടെ. അപ്പോൾ ഗാർഹിക പീഡനം, ഹൗസ് വയലൻസ്, അതൊരു ഭാഗത്ത്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ പ്രോഗ്രസീവ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഇതിൻ്റെ കൂടെ വരുന്നതാണോ ഒന്ന് വിലയിരുത്താം. ഇതിൻ്റെ ഒപ്പം തന്നെ ഈ പറഞ്ഞ വിഷയങ്ങൾ, ഈ ക്രൈംസ് ഞാനിപ്പോൾ ഈ പറഞ്ഞ കൂടുതൽ വിശദീകരിക്കില്ല. അപ്പോൾ അതും ഒരു പത്തെണ്ണം മലയാളികളൊക്കെ അഹങ്കരിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇന്ത്യയിലെ നമ്പർ 1 എല്ലാം കൊണ്ടും ഉന്നതിയിൽ UN ഒക്കെ ഒരുപാട് പട്ടികയിൽപ്പെടുത്തി എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഈ പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു ഹൈപ്പോക്രാറ്റിക് സൊസൈറ്റിയാണോ കേരളം എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഒരുപാട് നിരീക്ഷകർ വിലയിരുത്തുന്നുണ്ട്. ഒന്ന് വിലയിരുത്താമോ? ബാംഗ്ലൂർ നിന്നുകൊണ്ട് കേരളത്തെ കാണുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇതിനെക്കുറിച്ചൊന്ന് പറയാമോ?
ഞാനും ഈ സമൂഹത്തിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഭാഗമായിട്ടാണ് ഞാൻ തുടങ്ങുന്നത്. 2-3 കാര്യങ്ങൾ പറയാനുണ്ട്. ലിറ്ററസി ഉണ്ടാവുന്നത് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ അല്ല. ലിറ്ററസി ഈസ് നോട്ട് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ. അത് നമ്മൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കണം. വാക്കുകൾ അറിയുക, അക്ഷരങ്ങൾ അറിയുക, അത് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് നിങ്ങൾ പുരോഗമിച്ചു എന്ന് വിചാരിക്കണ്ട. ഇറ്റ് നീഡ് നോട്ട് ബി. ലിറ്ററസി നമുക്ക് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ തരുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ കേരളത്തിലെ ഒരു മനുഷ്യനും എന്താ പറയുന്നത്, ഡൗറി എടുക്കാൻ പാടില്ല. നമ്മൾ ഡൗറി എടുക്കുന്നത് സ്വർണത്തിന്റെ കൂടെയല്ലേ? ഇങ്ങനെ സ്വർണം നടച്ചിട്ട് നെറ്റിപ്പട്ടം പോലെ, യുനോ, ആനപ്പട്ടം പോലെയല്ലേ സ്വർണങ്ങൾ ഇട്ടിട്ട് നടക്കുന്നത്. അവിടെ നിന്ന് തുടങ്ങും. കേരള സമൂഹം ലൈക്ക് എനി അതർ സമൂഹം. കേരള സമൂഹത്തിന് അഗെയിൻ ഒരു എക്സെപ്ഷൻ ആയിട്ട് നിങ്ങൾ എടുക്കില്ലേ. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് പ്രോഗ്രസീവ്. യു ആർ ഓൾ റിഫ്ലക്ഷൻ ഓഫ് ദ പ്രോഗ്രസീവ്നെസ്. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ഓൾസോ റിഗ്രസീവ്. ഒരു 4 വയസ്സ് കൊച്ചിനെ ആരോ റേപ്പ് ചെയ്ത ഒരു വലിയൊരു നടൻ ഇതുവരെയ്ക്ക് അറസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടില്ല. ഓക്കെ. അതേ സമയത്ത് ഒരു നടി കുറേ ആൾക്കാരെ പറ്റിയിട്ട് ട്രോളിങ് ചെയ്യുന്നു, ശരീരത്തിനെ പറ്റിയിട്ട് സംസാരിച്ചു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് കേസിട്ടപ്പോൾ യൂട്യൂബ് വീഡിയോസ് നോക്കൂ, എന്തൊക്കെയൊക്കെ പേര് പറയുന്നത്, തേൻപൂവും ചന്ദ്രികയും അങ്ങനെ ഇങ്ങനെ. സോ അതും കേരളമാണ്, നിങ്ങളെല്ലാവരും കേരളമാണ്. സോ നമ്മൾ പ്രോഗ്രസീവും അല്ല റിഗ്രസീവും അല്ല, നമ്മളാണ്. ഇത്രയൊക്കെ ഉള്ളൂ. യുനോ, there is a part of us which is very regressive, there's a part of us which is very progressive. Important thing is to understand our regression. നമ്മൾ എവിടേക്കാണ് തെറ്റിപ്പോകുന്നത് അത് മനസ്സിലാക്കിയിട്ട് നമ്മൾക്ക് കിട്ടിയിരിക്കുന്ന ലിറ്ററസി പറഞ്ഞൊരു സാധനമില്ലേ, അതിനെ കുറച്ച് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷനിലേക്ക് കൺവേർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഈ ഏതൊക്കെയാണ് നമ്മുടെ വിട്ടുവീഴ്ചകൾ അതിനെ ശരിയാക്കാൻ നോക്കിയാൽ കേരളം can be God's own country.
If I can just add my Malayalam is not that good, but you know, the fact that in any society the ills of the society are have been brought to the fore itself, you know, and it is not suppressed, that itself is, I mean, you know, I would call that progress also. I mean,
Yes, you know, but at the same time, you know, if a few years back we had done a study here through the Kudumbashri groups, and one of the major findings of the Kudumbashri workers was where, you know, one of the question was where is a child most abused sexually, and 75% of the answer was within their own family.
Family, yes.
There is a regressive sexuality here, there is also a progressive mindset here.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of both.
Yes, yeah.
But we are far better
Sure, yeah.
than many other states.
Yeah.
Having said that cannot give us a feather in the head. We are also backwards in many spaces.
Any more questions?
Ma'am, absolute pleasure to meet you. Now, you were talking about child sexual abuse, and I have a flood of questions that is coming in my head. I work with an NGO, Sakshi, you might have heard of it. Smita Bharti ma'am is the executive director. We work in the very same field. And I'm a 21-year-old. I have been working in this field for about 3 years now. Going to mainly youth is our target. Now, I have a plethora of questions, but one thing that I really want to learn from you is, on a daily basis, you hear a lot of cases. You hear a lot of experiences that resonates with your own. How do you deal with it? Like, how do you, you know, separate it from what you felt, or maybe, you know, reliving the experience that you've already gone through? Because this is not something that can be taken in by a human. It is heinous. It is violating. How do you deal with it?
So the first thing would be, again, some cheap marketing. Read my book. You will know how I'm dealing with it on a daily basis. But just to give you a kind of a summary answer is that very early in my life, I really understood and recognized that just good intention will not bring change. I have to equip myself with the right kind of skills. And I started chalking my life journey accordingly. What is the subjects that I need to take in my graduation? What is the subjects that I need to take in my master's? And to gather those skills that will equip me to deal with the space that I have chosen for myself. And one of the early skills I mastered, I must say, is to separate the problem from the person. You know, get attached to the problem, but be detached with the person. You know, that is a skill I have been mastering for the last 35 years. I must say, I'm somewhere but not up there. Okay. Having said that, it is depleting. Vicarious trauma of every kind, because you're exposed. You want to be the high professional you are. You think it will not affect you. it affects you. It affects you, especially. I have a chapter in my book. In fact, that's my first prologue, where, you know, one of my early cases that I saw of this young girl who was gang raped and thrown on the railway track with her intestine outside. And one of my first thought was, if God was to come right in front of me, I would kill him or her with my bare hands. So I went through all those turbulent spaces. And then over a period of time, I learned to take care of myself. See, if you see me today in this attire, in a way that I am behaving, and this is a 1 month spiritual reflection time for me, I do those kind of things on a daily basis and on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, to keep re-energizing myself, to keep reminding me what is my destination, to keep reminding me why am I doing what I'm doing, because one case can pull me down completely, you know. And especially you're dealing with CSA, I'm dealing with sex trafficking, where the person who has gone through doesn't want my help.
Yeah.
You know, so you're feeling, why isn't she even saying like a chota mota thank you, you know, for what I've done for her? You don't get even that. So you're constantly feeling, you know, devalued, you know. So, but over a period of time, you find ways to cope up with that. And over a period of time, you understand the cause is bigger than you. The day you make you bigger than the cause, you know, that is when you will crash. As long as you keep the cause above you, you will survive.
Anybody else? Yeah, please
Somebody
go ahead.
here, please. Can you give the mic here, ma'am?
In the front row here, please. We'll come there.
Hello, I attended your previous session as well. So my question is kind of related to this session and the previous session. In the previous session, you spoke about how you wish that men were here listening to your talk. And I kind of resonate with that because I feel like I have the words and I have the ability to like hold space and facilitate something like that. But I feel like not many people are receptive to firstly a woman telling them how, you know, they should think and how they should live and how they should I don't know, like respect other people around us irrespective of gender. And there itself, like in the starting stage itself, I find it so difficult to like reach out to men and women for that matter, because they're just not always open to change. And I feel like my voice there itself gets like, you know, suppressed. And watching you have your extremely loud voice out there is so inspiring and actually tearful, because I feel like, I don't know, I just wish that I had that kind of strength to like, you know, stand up to all of the kind of challenges that I would face if I want to put myself in positions that you have.
So, I don't know what the question is, but then I'm just answering
Sure.
from what you have spoken.
Basically, I want to know like how
I
to...
believe that all men are not insecure human beings.
Right.
I believe all men are not rigid and unwilling to change. I believe a huge part of the male gender is compassionate, is mindful, sensitive, and all the men sitting here in this audience, including Satish, are part of that humanity which thinks like us. So I think this mindset that we create of them versus us, first that needs to change. We need to start engaging as collaborators and partners. You know, if we go with this thing that, oh, I'm coming here to change your mindset, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that is why it is so important for us to engage with men. And more you engage with men, you realize not all of them are abusers, yeah?
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
all of them are pedophiles. Not all of them are thinking that they have to gang rape a person. They are also outraged and they also want to do this. Probably they don't have the right lingo to express all that. And if you start investing in engaging with men and boys, and also start understanding that some way you have been part of a career, as a carrier of, say, a patriarchal stereotype, a patriarchal mindset, which is affecting not only you but that person in front of you. Then you will deal with that person with more compassion. And when you deal with the person with compassion, the chances of change is far more higher. If you deal the person as you have to change because you are the regressive one, you are the abuser. So somebody asked me somewhere else, where every time there is a Me Too thing, men say, we are not that man. True, you're not that man. There are good men. That is where there is hope in humanity. We need to understand that, and we need to understand that any change in the world is possible when men and women together work collectively as one force to change. When a child is getting raped, a 3-year-old child, a 6 months baby, it is a blot not only for the women but also to the men.
Yeah.
And when we work together, we'll understand that. Otherwise, them and us will constantly keep fighting each other, and that competition is not.
Yeah, I
something
feel like it's
that's
a
going to
never-ending battle. That's why I wanted to know, what's the right approach to take so that you can, I guess, get more results.
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
we just have a minute or so. There was
Yeah,
somebody
sure.
at the
Thank
back.
you so much.
There was somebody at the back who wanted.
Can we have one more male voice at least?
Yeah, that would be good.
We'll make it a gender equitable
Any
questions. Men have decided, no, we are not going to ask any question to this woman.
No, we started with a
Right,
gentleman
yes,
here, but
yes.
okay, there is somebody.
Yeah.
Ma'am, my name is Munib Ahmed. Sorry. Ma'am, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, in one of his books, has mentioned that the red streets or the brothel services should be banned legally everywhere. But a huge amount of people has and still opposes it. What are your comments on that?
I understand the question.
I didn't also. മനസ്സിലായില്ല.
ഡോക്ടർ ബി ആർ അംബേദ്കർ ഈ ബ്രോത്തൽ സർവീസസ് നിർത്തണം എന്ന അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ ലീഗലി
Brothels നിർത്തണം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. Okay.
അത്
My thoughts on closing the brothel.
യെസ് എക്സാക്ട്ലി
അച്ഛാ.
നിങ്ങൾ ഈ ബുക്ക് വായിക്കണം കേട്ടോ. ഇതിലൊരു ഒരു ടോട്ടൽ ചാപ്റ്റർ ഉണ്ട്. I am an abolitionist. I believe prostitution is the oldest form of sexual slavery. I believe that is the most legitimized form of commodifying a human being. And I believe all of us should put in all efforts to not only close the brothels, but to ensure every person who is exploited in these brothels are provided an exit option and take them back to society. So I am with Dr. Ambedkar, but there is another world out there who says, no, this has to be legitimized. This has to be called sex work, and that has to be given status of work, legal work. അങ്ങനത്തെയും ഒരു ആലോചന പദ്ധതി അങ്ങോട്ടുണ്ട്. എൻ്റെ ആലോചന പദ്ധതി, this is slavery.
I think.
Have I answered? Oh, shit.
I think that's all we have time for, but because the next set of panelists are already here. Thank you very much, Sunitha. As I said, it was one of the most exhilarating conversations that I've ever had.
Thank you, Satish. Thank you so much, and thank you, audience,
Thank you for
being so lovely.
Absolutely fantastic audience. Thank you so much.